What's going on, everybody? Phil back at you with part 1 to my follow-up series to the 5 biggest decisions you might have when becoming a content creator and or streamer. Today we're going to go over 2 pieces of software, OBS and Streamlabs OBS. Those are 2 of the biggest used platforms or pieces of software that people use when streaming to either YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, what have you. We're going to go over some tips and tricks, some basic setups, get you guys basically ready and kicked off so you can start streaming right away, and try to answer some of the simple questions you might have all up in one video. You'll notice a lot of similarities between the 2 programs, but each piece of software offers their own kind of perks to them, basically. But let's just dive right in, and I'll show you where to download them. Okay, first things first, let's download OBS Studio. So all you're going to do is open your web browser, put in OBS Studio, and you're going to see OBS Studio on the first link. Click on their web page, and then obviously now you can see where you can download either Windows, Mac, or Linux. Obviously we're going to install for Windows, and then we'll go from there. Now let's go install Streamlabs. So same thing, you're going to go up top, you're going to type in Streamlabs. First thing you see right here is download Streamlabs or streamlabs.com. Again, you'll be greeted by a welcome page, and then you'll see download Streamlabs for free, and then obviously the link will give you different ways you can download it. So let's install this and go from there. Alright, so you download your software, and here we are with OBS Studio and Streamlabs OBS. Now we're not going to go into a bunch of the other programs that are out there because I don't want to make a video that's like 10 hours long, as well as these are actually the 2 most used programs with streaming to different platforms. Now, there are platforms that have their own software, like YouTube has their own studio software, Twitch has their own software as well, that kind of go in and allow you to do like basic stream setups for their stuff so you can just start streaming right away. But if you want to have a more customized stream, these are usually the 2 programs that are used. Now we're going to dive right into OBS Studio, kind of go over a few things and some simple setup. This way you guys can get ready to kick off and go from there. And then obviously we'll go over Streamlabs and go from there as well. Now you're going to notice some similarities between the 2, but OBS Studio does have, I would say, a little bit more of a customized setup over Streamlabs, where Streamlabs has more a simplistic and quality of life setup. You guys will kind of see what I'm talking about when we jump a little bit more into it. So let's go ahead and open up OBS Studio and go from there. Now, when you open up OBS Studio, you'll be greeted by pretty much a blank slate. Now, the first thing that you're going to want to do before you do anything is you're going to want to go ahead and integrate with your stream platform. Now, what I mean by that is we're going to go over here to settings at the bottom right. We're going to go to stream, and then you're going to see where it says service, connect account, or use a stream key. Now, depending on what streaming platform you're actually trying to stream to, let's say Twitch. We'll use Twitch as a blank slate right now, but if you go here, you have YouTube, Facebook Gaming, Restream.io, Twitter, and there's a buttload more. But we'll use Twitch as an example. Now, I know I've left Twitch, but my Twitch account still remains, so I'm going to use it as an example so I don't mess up any settings on my YouTube channel. But let's go ahead and talk about how do I connect it. Now, when you go to connect your account, you can either connect account with your login from Twitch. You'll see it'll pop up and you get the option to log in directly with Twitch, or you can use a stream key. Now, if you use a stream key, you're basically going to go into your Twitch account, you can go under settings, and then it'll be under there under a stream key, which will basically be a really long numerical with a few different characters and whatnot that basically identifies that, hey, this is your stream, this is your ingest, your upload portion. This is what you'll use as an upload key to stream to Twitch. Now, that's a little bit more complicated in ways like that. There are platforms that only use stream keys. They don't have a connect account option. But because we're using Twitch, we'll go ahead and use that. So give me just a moment. I'm going to log in, and then we'll go from there. Okay, now that we're logged in, you're going to notice that the stream settings area has changed. You're going to see auto. So it's going to let you select. You can select each range if you want to select to or upload to a certain server. I would just recommend leaving on auto because obviously if certain servers go down, you won't have to worry about your stream crashing. You can also disconnect the account if you want to change accounts that you're logging into. Now, obviously, you have to have a Twitch account. You'll have to have a YouTube account, a Facebook account. You're going to have an actual account before you can just connect to your stream account. So, obviously, be mindful of that. You can't just go here and just create one. You'll have to go to Twitch, create an account, all that. You can enable bandwidth test. geez, can't talk, but I'm going to leave it all in the video. I'm going to try to make this with as little editing as possible. This way you guys can kind of get a true, fluid kind of explanation. But you can enable a bandwidth test mode. Basically, it'll test your internet to find out if you can handle a set amount of upload or bitrate. Now, we're going to get into that right now. Now, Twitch has a maximum video bitrate of 6,000 kbps, or kilobytes per second. They also have a maximum audio bitrate of 320 kbps. Now, basically what that means, for you guys that don't know, this is your megabytes. Okay, maximum video bitrate for Twitch is a 6 megabyte upload. That's the most that they can ingest. There are rumors that partners have a higher cap, but flat out 6 megabytes per second is your cap, wherein 320 kbps is your maximum for audio. Now, the best way to explain what you should upload to, or upload max should be, will be based on your internet speed. Now, for myself, I have Spectrum. Unfortunately, don't have fiber yet, but it sounds like I should be getting fiber here soon. But my maximum upload right now is 50 megabytes per second. My own experience, you never want to exceed 50% of your maximum upload speed. If you start going over 50%, you might notice some internet lag, you might notice some stuttering. I wouldn't recommend doing it. But in Twitch's case, if you have a 50 megabyte upload and the max that they can handle is 6 megabytes or 6,000 kbps, you could probably stream maximum video quality and not have any issues. Now, also, this could be limited to by hardware, depending on the quality of your computer. But in most cases, you should be able to upload past 6 megabytes because we're no longer in 1995, so that should be an issue. Now, if we go to output, this is where you can actually edit that information. So we go to video bitrate. In my case, we could set it to 6,000. And there we go. You'll see encoder. Now, encoder, you have two different options. Software, which is basically going to use your CPU of your computer to try to run your stream. Now, if you have a 16-core, 32-thread monster CPU, you should be able to use software no problem. Software is very hardware heavy. So if you don't have a very high-end graphics card, but you have a really high-end CPU, you might be better off using software. Now, in my case, I also have hardware or NVIC, or basically because I have a NVIDIA graphics card. NVIDIA graphics cards, depending on obviously what tier graphics card you have, will have an encoder already built into the card, where you can use your graphics card to basically generate your upload quality and image for whatever software you're streaming to. I always prefer using NVIC over hardware. In my case, I have a 9900K. I definitely could go either way, but I noticed my quality is better if I use NVIC before I use software. Now, audio bitrate, obviously, again, depending on what your upload is, you could do 320, leave it at 160. That's completely up to you. You are uploading to a streaming platform, so depending on the streaming platform, you might be able to throw it at 320, but they might only output at 160. So beware of that. You don't always have to upload to the highest possible quality, but you may notice small differences depending on where you're streaming to. Now, with recording, if you want to record videos, so I use Streamlabs to obviously do my upload for my stream. I also use it to record my video, like I'm doing actually right now. I'm actually using Streamlabs on my stream PC to record everything I'm doing. So you can set a recording path. So you could set it like what folder do you want it to set to. So we could say desktop, select that folder, and now any videos that you go and record. See, if you go down bottom right, you see start recording. That means that video will start recording and it'll be saved to the desktop. You can also change the quality. You can have it the same quality that your stream would have, or you can do higher quality, lower quality. You have those options. You also change what file it gets saved as, or you can do custom settings. If we go to audio, this can get a little more daunting. This gets a little more complicated. Again, I'm not going to dive deep into it. If you guys have questions about it, I'll make another video. Put your questions down in the comments. The more questions I have, the more prone I'll be to make another video to kind of go over audio settings. But this is where you go to select your desktop audio, your mic audio. Do you have multiple mics? Do you have multiple desktops? You can select all your audio here. You also can go through and check different parameters, set hotkeys, This could get a little more daunting, but right out of the gate, it's not very complicated. It's already pretty much set up for you. Now, video. This is going to be, I'll touch this base a little bit because a lot of people get this messed up. So what you want to make sure of is your base canvas resolution is what your, in my opinion, is what your output to your main display is. So it defaults to 1920 by 1080, or you can also jump it up to like where I'm at, it's 2560 by 1440. That's my base canvas. Now what that does is that changes the ratio that this display in the back over here, this is then now 1440. Now your output will be what Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're streaming to, will then scale it to. So Twitch, you can set it to 1080p. I've experimented with going with higher resolutions for Twitch in the past. It will work, but it does make your stream either look wider or narrower. Now that I'm on YouTube, I can actually output my 2K resolution, no problem. So again, be careful with what you're doing here. But a lot of times, if you're running into issues where you're dropping frames or it doesn't look right on the screen, or you go to stream to the platform and for whatever reason, like on OBS, it looks fine, but on Twitch or YouTube, it looks like really zoomed in, that could be because your output resolutions are messed up. So we'll set those back to 1080. Now, downscale filter, basically, are different sharpening, different color patterns. I always recommend using Laxos or Lank. Oh my god, I can't pronounce. I always prefer 36 samples. We'll leave that in there. Yes, I can't speak, but I always prefer 36 samples, but you can also change and play with it. This may make your stream look a bit sharper, a little bit clearer, a little bit better coloring. Do try it yourself. It won't hurt anything to try it. Stop the stream, change it, start the stream, change it, go back and forth. And then you have common FPS value. Now, most stream capture software caps out at 60 frames per second. This is where a lot of people run into issues, and I'm going to kind of touch base on this. What that means is if you're doing a single PC setup and you're running a game at 120 frames per second, that's double the FPS cap that this software can capture. So if you're doing game capture, you might have less dropped frames than you have with display capture. So what that means is if you're running a game at 120 frames per second, the software can only capture half that frame rate. So you might have stuttering, dropped frames, your stream might look like it's hitching, because the software can only capture so fast. So if you start flooding it with 120, 240, now 320 frames per second, the software is going to start fighting against you, and then you're going to notice drop frames, you're going to notice stuttering in the image quality, maybe blurriness. Now, if you're doing a dual PC stream setup, now this is why, one of the main reasons why I do a dual PC stream setup, I can output on my game PC, out of my graphics card, 144 frames per second. And then my capture card can receive that information, but then I can lower it down to 60 frames resolution so that my software doesn't get overloaded and then everything looks smooth on stream. But for me, I can play at those higher frame rates and not have drop frames. So just a quick little dicing on that, on my experience for it. There are newer ways to get around that, less drop frames, but make sure if you're doing single PC, 60 frames is a sweet spot. You can play some games a little over it and you may not have a problem, but wherever you could do game capture, do game capture. As soon as you try to do display capture and you're over 60 frames, that's where you'll start noticing more drop frames. Hotkeys. So if you want to start streaming, stop streaming, you can add different hotkeys. This way it's like having a Stream Deck. I use a Stream Deck. I have since day one. They're not super expensive anymore, but if you don't have one, you could actually set a hotkey on your keyboard. This might be a little harder if you're on a single PC because you don't want to accidentally be, slamming, a certain key combination and stopping your stream while playing a video game. That would suck. So again, if you're on single PC stream, if you can, get a Stream Deck. There are a ton of different options and brands out there right now. It doesn't even have to be an Elgato Stream Deck. You can use even just a separate USB plug-in numerical pad, you know, and then have that set as a, you know, kind of a Stream Deck for yourself. And then you have advanced settings. Obviously, you can go in here and change the process priority. Now, what this does is this changes the priority. So, like, OBS will try not to interfere with your game if you're single PC streaming. If the higher you set this, the more resources it's going to use. The lower you set it, the less resources you're going to use, but your stream quality may vary. So, again, something to keep your eyes on. I'm not going to get into a bunch of these settings. Again, though, if you have a question, post it in comments. I'll be more than happy to go over it. I don't just want to make an hour-long video, just kind of go over all this stuff. So, with that all being said, let's jump down to our base canvas. Okay, now with our base canvas, we're going to go over a couple quick things, and we're going to jump over to Streamlabs. Now, you're going to see down here, you'll have your scenes. Scenes are basically all the different, scenes. So, we have a pre-generated scene that's already here. We can right-click that, rename that to starting. This way, if you have a start display, you can have a scene for that. You can go down here and you have an add and delete. So we can add another scene. We can call this one live, hit OK. And now you have two different scenes. Now, what that does, so if we go and click on starting, let's say we have this thumbnail. I'm just going to click and drop an image here. You can resize it. You can move it, shrink it down. You also can right click the actual image. You can go to transform. And you can go to fit to screen. Now it'll fit your actual resolution. And then if we go to live, I can do the same thing. We'll just click and drag the same image. And then I can go to transform. We'll fit it to the screen. And let's just, we'll transform it. And let's say, we'll flip it over. Okay. So now when you go between your two displays, now you have two different scenes. Now for your individual scenes, you could have, let's say for your starting, you could have your logo with music playing, whatever the case is. And then when you go to your actual live display, you could have maybe your webcam down here. You could have your gameplay back here. You could have maybe your stream alerts up top. Now, all of those, if you've already noticed, are your sources. So I already have one source right here. This is that thumbnail that I have. Now, what you also can do is you can add either an audio input output capture. You could add a browser source. So if you use Stream Elements or maybe you use Streamlabs, you use their alert notifications. You can use your browser sources. That's how you would plug it in there. Display captures or game capture. So obviously if you're on single PC, try to do game capture. If the game that you have doesn't support game capture, do display capture. Then you have your images that you can add. You can add text. You add tons of things. So let's say if we throw text on here and we say, hello. Whoa, hello, because I can't type. Right? Again, you can resize it. You can move it. You can shift it around. You know, we can put it there. And let's say if we want to leave it there, these locks, if you notice down here by the scenes, this is how you lock them. Or if I want to hide it, hit the little eye and you can hide it. And let's say if we want to add a video clip, well, what you also can do is you can actually click it and you can drag it and it'll actually add it and then you can resize it. So let's say I'm going to use this as my webcam. Currently I'm on my game PC, so I don't have a webcam hooked up to this one. But you have, let's say, your webcam down here. Again, you can lock everything, and now you have your two scenes. So you could have a starting scene, and then your live scene. Now, if you notice, this is playing audio. So you have a slider where you could decrease the amount of sound or increase it to full sound. You could mute it. Or if you click on the gear icon, you have different filters. You can have different properties. You can change the effects. If you go to filters, you could go here and click on properties, and you could turn around and change, okay, maybe the browser source is it a different video clip or a different webcam. You can do a ton of different things with that. Now, scene transition, that they kind of integrate it right here to its own little section. You can change how the scenes change. So obviously before I change it, if I go and click to starting, you see it swipes left. If I change it to, let's say, a fade, you see how it fades. I kind of like OBS gives you a couple freebies, transitions. But if, let's say you have a custom transition, you're going to want to go as Stinger. So if we go here and click on Stinger, and we'll hit OK, this is where you would upload your custom transition. Now, I'm not going to go into huge detail on that. If I have people that want me to go into detail on that, again, comment down in the description down below or in the comments down below, and I'll make a video kind of going over that. We'll discard that for right now. And then you have your standard controls. Start stream, start recording. Obviously, if you click start recording and then stop recording, again, if you look over on my desktop, it created a video. We have studio mode, which basically gives you your input output. You can change kind of things, certain things on the fly. We can go out of studio mode. You can go to settings, or you can exit. So, sorry, not Streamlabs. OBS. OBS is a very, in my opinion, cut dry. It has a lot of potential if you're into a lot of custom things. Now, the big thing with OBS is it's open source. So you could find plugins. You can find custom-made software. You want to have, there's some transition scenes that you can have your webcam go from up top left and have it just slide down to top right and resize as you go to different scenes. There's tons of cool things that you can get with OBS. Not that Streamlabs or other software doesn't have it, but OBS is usually used for people that like to try a lot of cool, edgy, new age type stuff. And they want their stream to look as best as possible. So let's just jump over to Streamlabs and we'll kind of go over some stuff with that. All right, so I've got Streamlabs open. You're gonna notice it's gonna look a little different, but a lot of similar things are still here. So you still have your output display, which you can resize. You can also do the same thing on OBS as well. You have your mini feed. Now, mini feed would be where, like, once you're connected to your stream, any alerts that go off, because the nice thing about Streamlabs is they have their own alert software built in. They make their own stuff. So if you use their stuff, it'll pop up in here. You still have your scenes, you still have your sources, you still have your mixer. It's all pretty much still there. But let's go ahead and connect Twitch. Now, I used to stream to Twitch and actually used to use this computer stream to Twitch. So we'll see if I log into Twitch, will it change anything. So we'll go over here. We'll hit the setting gear at the bottom. We'll go to login, and then we'll select Twitch as our platform. It'll pop up. Then we log into Twitch, and I'll be right back. Okay. Well, now that I logged into Twitch, I went ahead and hit my mini feed. I don't want to give away too much personal detail, but your stuff will be there. You can see Big Ginger gave me $1. Yo, homie. That's one of the alerts that went off. See about that 15 days ago. That was back when I was on Twitch. Now that we're logged into Twitch, now you notice maybe over here in this top left, things have changed. You have your highlighter, which is a new option for them. You can see your statistics. You can also go through their store. They have themes. They have alert box library. They also have an editor. Now we're in the editor right now. Now what's nice about Streamlabs is try to make it as simplistic as possible by giving you a bunch of cool features as well. So if you're a streamer that you don't want to go have a bunch of custom stuff made, or you're new to streaming, obviously, you can actually use their theme setup. So if we go to themes tab, we give it a second to load everything up. You have tons of options that are there for you. Now, Streamlabs does have their own Prime. Try Prime. It's basically a monthly fee for them, but you can get a lot of neat and awesome overlays, alert boxes, notification stuff that they already have pre-made for you. They do have some free stuff in here, so it's not all under Prime, but you'll notice there's stuff like scene themes, you have widgets, like alert boxes, you have tip pages, so like you can change the tip page backgrounds and stuff like that. A lot of cool things. This is kind of why I liked Streamlabs when I first started streaming, because they give you so many tools and awesome things that you can get directly through them instead of outsourcing everything yourself. If you're more of a seasoned streamer, not that seasoned streamers don't use Streamlabs or other programs like this. It's just sometimes seasoned streamers have a lot of custom stuff. So like if you guys know Dr. Disrespect, that man has so much custom stuff made for his stream that it just makes sense for him to not really use stuff like this. But I know other streamers that, like, for instance, use like this neon light. Which one is it? This one right here, this neon light background. This is heavily used. This is kind of nice, and a lot of times if you use it the right way, you really can't tell a difference that, the same streamers are using the same overlays and themes. You can also go to their app store. Again, a ton of different apps for different games, integration, Monster Cat, stuff like that. A lot of cool things, so definitely check that out if you haven't already. Now if you go down here, you'll see where you can sign up for Prime. You have your dashboard, which is, now I'm going to basically close that back out, but the dashboard is where you can go to mess with your bot. So they have CloudBot, and they have your dashboard where, one, you'll see your statistics. Also, you can adjust your alerts, your notifications. You can make custom commands. They basically, Streamlabs took a lot of stuff like OBS has, but they went more the route of they want to make a one-stop, everything is right here. You don't have to go and have stream elements, overlays, and integrate it into OBS. They basically try to make it all one program. But again, OBS, you can kind of do more customized stuff. So it's kind of give and take. Again, I personally prefer Streamlabs, and I know a lot of other big streamers that use it as well use Streamlabs for that reason. Now we can go back up here and go back to the editor, which will bring us back to this display. So adding scenes is just like that was on OBS. You can add a new scene. You can create a new scene. We'll call it live. Hit done. Oh, well, if you just notice that transition, again, because I was using Streamlabs when I was doing a single PC, I was using it on this PC. That was a stinger transition. I'll show you how to change those. You can add your sources. So again, you can add images, browser sources. Like if you're using stream elements, you can do display capture, game capture, audio input outputs. You can do text alerts. You can do chat boxes, alert boxes. So again, Streamlabs gives it all right there. So you can instantly just add a bit goal, or you could add an event list, or you could, add tons and tons of different things. You have your mixer. Again, if you could, do slider up and down, you could actually go in here and mute it. If you select a mute, you also could turn around and go to properties. You could change filters. So if you wanted to add gains, noise suppression, limiters, and stuff like that. Again, Streamlabs has a lot of the same stuff that OBS does. That's why I'm not going to go into huge detail. If we go over here to the settings icon, you'll notice there's a lot of similarities here as well. So general settings, again, quality of life stuff. Go to stream. Again, you can do multiple streams. You can do, now this is kind of nice. You could go to add Prime. And if you're not a partner, you can stream to Twitch and Facebook and YouTube all at the same time. You just have to be a Prime member for them to do that. You can go to output. Again, they have two different ways. You have simple. So you basically, okay, again, we know Twitch has a 6,000 cap. Again, 50% of what your maximum upload speed is what I wouldn't go over. You could do software. You could do NVIC. Now, they have a hardware old NVIC and new NVIC. New NVIC is for the 3000 CPU, so basically the current generation, I'm sorry, not CPU, GPUs that are out. And then the normal NVIC would be for the previous generation. So like this is the 20 series, this is for 30 series, and so on. You have audio bitrate that you could upload to, or you have recording stuff. Again, just like OBS, you could set it to your desktop, different qualities, a lot of same stuff there. Now, if we go to advanced gives you a little bit more. Now, I'll go over this real quick, and if you guys have more in-depth stuff that you want to know, I'll be more than happy to make a video. Just comment down below. So again, you can do audio tracks. You could do Twitch VOD. Now, this is kind of nice. Right now, with the whole DMCA stuff, you can do a Twitch VOD track, which means you could stream live and listen to whatever you want to listen to, but then you can also not have to worry about getting a DMCA strike on your saved like videos, your VODs, or your clips. Now, you can still get DMCA striked while you're live. It's just, this is kind of rolling the dice. It's kind of nice if, let's say, you're recording and you want to do something like that, or you're streaming to a site, and let's say maybe you're not streaming DMCA music. Maybe you're streaming music that you can use online, but in your VODs, you don't want the music to be there. You could still use it this way. Go to Twitch VOD, and then you could then select, okay, audio track 1, but then have your Twitch VOD be audio track 2. So this way you have your music play through track 1, but when it gets saved as a VOD or a clip, it uses audio track 2. Now, this will use more resources. Again, if you guys want me to go into depth on how to do that setup, again, comment down below. The more comments we get on wanting to do that, I'll do a video for that. You have Enforce Your Streaming Encoder software. Now, you have CBR, VR, or CQP, VBR, lossless. You always want to do CBR. Again, you have custom bitrate. Now, I will go through this real quick. If you're streaming to Twitch or YouTube, you will have keyframe interval to set to 2. I have max quality and high. Turn off look ahead. Use Psycho Visual, turn that on. Whatever GPU, obviously just have it set to 0, and max B-frame 2. Those settings right there, from 2 to 2, I noticed when I did that, made my stream a lot sharper, a lot smoother, less stuttering. It does vary depending on what stream platform you're using too, but if you're on Twitch or YouTube, use those settings right there and you'll be happy about that. Audio, again, same thing. We can go a little more in depth on that, but mostly it's all pretty much set for you. Video, again, you'll notice the same thing right here. 1080p output. Now, I played with this while. This is back when I was playing with it years ago. I played with different resolutions. Again, you want your output to be 1080 maxed on Twitch. YouTube, you can go up to 2K. Actually, you can go higher than 2K. Fun fact, YouTube has a 50,000 kilobit per second or 50 megabyte upload ingest, and they can handle up to 4K video upload. But again, you don't want to go over 50% of what your stream or your upload can handle. Now, the higher your upload bit rate, the higher the resolution and the higher the quality of the stream will be. But if you don't have a computer or internet service provider that can handle that, you'll have to tone it back. So what I mean by that is, if you have about a 10 megabyte upload, 6,000 kilobytes per second is about the sweet spot for 1080p. Anything above 1080p, you're gonna have to go higher than 6,000 kilobytes per second. If you can't handle 6,000 kilobytes per second, you're not going to be able to stream at 1080. You might have to dial back to 720. So they kind of go hand in hand. Again, downscale filtering. I got 32 samples. That's where I like it. Common FPS. Yeah, you can set it to 60. I prefer setting it to 60. Sometimes, depending on what your computer you're using, maybe you can only handle 30. This will come down to what your computer can handle. Again, play with these settings. That will allow you to kind of fine tune and better off your stream. Again, hotkeys, advanced. Now you have scene collections. This is kind of nice. So with Streamlabs OBS, you can have all your scenes set up and you can export an overlay file. This is kind of nice because if you're changing computers or let's say rebuilding a computer, you can export your overlays. And when you port over to the new computer, if for whatever reason it doesn't get saved in the cloud, because OBS will save your settings in the cloud. If it's too much, at least you'll have a snapshot that you can import in and then be able to retain all your scenes without having to remake them. You have notifications, so you can increase or decrease your threshold, or I'm sorry, your thresholds on, like, do you skip frames? Are you dropping frames? Are you detecting lag? You can adjust the notifications down there. Now, fun thing, if you go down to the bottom left corner of Streamlabs, you can click on these windows and you'll see, oh cool, I'm using this much CPU at 60 frames per s. This is what I'm dropping frame-wise. You can have it right there, or you click on the info button and it'll give you any notifications that you had going on. Let's go back to settings. You have appearance, so you have a night mode, and if you hate your life, there's day mode. Go back to night mode. You also can check and uncheck your better TTV. Remote control. Streamlabs is nice. You can actually have remote control, so you can use your cell phone as like a stream deck to change live when you're not live. End screen, you can change your different scenes. You have virtual webcam that you can use. You have game overlays, so in-game, you have a hotkey for that. And then, of course, you have your Prime, which then will take you to log in for your Prime subscriptions. Now, what's also nice is you can log out and go switch over to YouTube. Now, when you do that, your scenes will change because obviously you can have different profiles. So again, you'll notice a lot of similarities. There are a lot of differences. But Streamlabs, in my opinion, is just a way better way to go. It's smoother, adding alerts, overlays. Again, click and drag. You can right-click it. You can go to transform. You can go back to fit to screen. You can add your video again. You can resize it. Now, this is a neat thing that I like that you can do on Streamlabs. So you can scale it to different sizes, or if you hold shift, I'm sorry, not shift, which one is it? I gotta remember how to do this. Am I just being dumb here? Or can I not do it to this? I don't think I can do it to this. Hold on, let me see something real quick. Oh, hold on, I'm holding shift wrong. Ha ha ha. I'm gonna leave this in the video, guys. You guys can see how dumb I can be sometimes. All right, so you can shrink it down. You can make it more narrower. But if you hold Alt, if you notice, it's not resizing it. It's cutting it off. You can do the same thing on OBS, but this is one of those tips and tricks. So let's make this full size. Okay, so we'll go to transform, and we'll fit the screen. Let's say if I just want my webcam. let's say we'll pretend this is my webcam, right? But we only want to cut down this portion. You can hold Alt, and you could cut all of it out and leave just that. And then you could resize it from there. Or you could hold Alt again and stretch it back to the full size that it is. That's one of those quality kind of tips and tricks they don't show you. So this way, resizing things. Because like one of the hardest things you might have is trying to put a border around a webcam. And you're sitting there fighting with it, and you're doing this, and you're like, I can't get it to resize. I keep having issues. So every time I go to do this, it gets wider than it actually is. But then you could hold, you know, Control or Shift. If you hold Shift, you lock. You're actually changing just the width. Or if you hold Shift and grab the top, you're changing just the height. Or if you don't hold those buttons, it just resizes the whole thing. Or if you hold Alt, you could actually cut out what you're trying to do. So again, Shift. If you hold Shift and then grab the side or top, you can stretch it width or stretch the height. If you hold Alt, you could actually crop it and crop what you want out of it. So one of those tips and tricks that you guys might like. Again, if we go over here, we have audio, so we can then increase and decrease the audio. Again, kind of similar to OBS, but in my opinion, I feel like Streamlabs just is a little more ahead of the curve as far as it goes to simplicity and ease of use, because you can add the bot. So, you know, all your alerts. So if we go add an alert box, we'll click add. Now, if you notice here, you have a bit donation or bits, donations, merch, sub, Tiltify. I have my Tiltify link to it. Merch store. So Streamlabs actually has a merch store. So you have a logo, you can have some quick merch. You can go through them on their dashboard. Again, you can go to the cloud spot and you can go through all that. I'm just not going to pull that up because all my personal information's on that. You have your follow alerts, hosts. All that stuff is built right into the software. And then you could change how it looks. You can change the displays. You can select different alert images. It's a way more in-depth program as far as I would say is simplicity, ease of use, and then you see you can move the alert box. So like if I put the alert box down here, if I go to the bottom right and go to test widgets and hit follow, and I don't have, oh, see, Fail Mountain is now following. I followed myself. You know, you could do stuff like that. You can do subscriptions. Like, again, you can resize this box. You can edit it. You can move it around. You can lock them down. Streamlabs, in my opinion, I feel like, again, just has a simplicity. It gives you everything in one spot. Gives you a good bot. Gives you good alerts. It does miss out on some of the open source stuff that OBS has. But in my opinion, Streamlabs just they went the right way. I mean, there are streamers out there that love and use OBS religiously because they go back and forth. That's what happens when you have two programs that are kind of go head-to-head with each other. But Streamlabs is kind of where I've always been since I first started streaming. I've used OBS in the past, but to me, I just like having everything in one spot. It just makes it a lot easier. So again, guys, thank you so much for being here. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. It helps me out a ton. Or if you have already hit subscribe, make sure you smash the notification bell so this way you get alerts when I go live. Also, have any comments or have any requests, make sure down below in the comment section, make sure you go ahead and type up any questions that you might have about the video and if you want me to cover a different topic. Also, if you haven't, go down a little bit further in the description area, join the Discord, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Make sure you hit all those links. Again, much love. You guys have a wonderful evening or day wherever you're at. Love gaming. Have fun. Peace out.